Did you know that Ferrari has modified his car so secret that not even the cameras of the FIA can detect it? And that these changes could be the turning point in the Lewis Hamilton season? Stay, because you are about to discover the truth that nobody told you about SF25 before Canada. From the first meters on the track during the preseason tests, the SF25 exposed its unpredictable character. It was not a slow car or a badly built one. On the contrary, Ferrari had worked intensely to provide it with aerodynamic efficiency and straight speed. But in its essence, the car was designed with parameters that benefited Charles Leclerc, a pilot with which Ferrari had been developing his technical line for more than 5 seasons. That is the origin of the problems. Hamilton did not reach a new car, it reached another car. In telemetry, the most obvious problem was rear instability. In each braking phase, the rear axle of the SF25 showed a more marked survival propensity than the grid average. For Hamilton, accustomed to a Mercedes car that prioritized the soft and progressive entry and curve, this characteristic was a nightmare. In technical paths such as Monaco or Melbourne, where error margins are reduced to millimeters, that loss of security was the difference between gaining time or going against the wall. But the true Achilles heel of the SF25 was not visible, but in what Hamilton felt at the wheel. The integration of the regenerative braking system, the famous engine braking, is radically different from what he used in Mercedes. Hamilton, who had dominated for years with a technique based on conventional brake modulation, now had to learn from scratch to manage electricity. In his own words, "I had never had to use engine braking before." This system, combined with a pair delivery map designed for another driving style, caused a total break in its muscle memory. In addition, the marching of the car and the stiffness of the chassis became additional barriers. The SF25 has a more aggressive suspension philosophy, designed to maximize the grip in fast curves, but that compromises the general balance in low adhesion conditions or when quick rotation of the car is required. For Hamilton, which bases its style on the fluid transition between stop, rotate, and accelerate, this behavior was not only alien but directly hostile. And if we add to this the fact that Ferrari did not offer sufficient margin in the car-base configuration to adjust to his new pilot, the result was predictable: a frustrated, uncomfortable Hamilton unable to show his true level. Unlike other pilots who adapt to what there is, Lewis has always highlighted when the car adapts to it. And that connection, vital for any champion, was broken from day one. The most worrying thing is that all this happened in silence. While the headlines celebrated their signing and the fans dreamed of immediate podiums, Hamilton lived one of the toughest adaptation processes of their career. It wasn't just a matter of performance, it was a personal struggle to meet his essence as a pilot in an environment that had not been built for him. A car that seemed to have all the technology in the world, but no empathy with the man who had to tame him. This was not simply a new beginning for Hamilton. It was a frontal clash between two philosophies, that of a pilot who needs sensitivity, confidence, and instant response, and that of a car that delivered speed but denied his soul. While most teams focused on presenting their new aerodynamic pieces with large press releases and colorful images in the boxes, Ferrari chose a completely different path. A path in silence. One that does not seek holders but results. What they have been developing in Maranello has nothing to do with what is seen from the Pittsburgh lane. They are invisible changes to the eye, but designed to radically alter the behavior of the SF25. And most importantly, they are designed exclusively to adapt to Lewis Hamilton. The sources close to the team reveal that Ferrari has implemented a set of modifications that we could catalog as internal car surgery. Let's start with the technological heart of every hybrid car, the energy recovery system. In the case of SF25, the management of the MGUK and the ERS has been completely reprogrammed. This is not simply a matter of energy efficiency. It is a deep customization of the way the car releases power in acceleration phase, something that Hamilton had been requesting from its debut with the team. What Ferrari has done is to redirect that energy to areas of the circuit where Hamilton needs it more. Outputs of closed curves and key moments of defense and attack. In a layout such as the circuit Gilles-Villeneuve, where long lines are combined with strong braking and low-speed curves, having a calibrated power delivery to the millimeter can mean the difference between advancing with authority or being blocked behind a rival. Ferrari has built for him an energy deployment system that responds not only to telemetry, but also to his driving style. A symbiosis between pilot and electronics that is rarely seen in Formula One modern. But innovations do not end there. The cooling system has also been redesigned with surgical precision. Montreal is one of the most demanding circuits in the calendar in terms of motor temperatures. Constant accelerations and braking generate thermal peaks that punish hybrid systems. Ferrari has created a new internal design of air flows and thermal management, invisible to the viewer, but vital to keep stable the performance of the SF25 under pressure. This not only improves reliability, but allows the engine to work with more aggressive maps without overheating risk. And perhaps the most revealing change, although the most difficult to see, is the modification in the geometry of the rear suspension. It all started with a series of simulator sessions, in which Hamilton precisely detailed how he felt the rear axle in each type of curve. The engineers responded not with words, but with action. The new configuration allows a greater absorption of the irregularities on the track without compromising the lateral grip, giving Hamilton that linear traction he had lost since he left Mercedes. This improvement translates directly into confidence. Knowing that when leaving a curve the car will remain firm allows you to stop later and accelerate earlier, two of the qualities that defined their aggressive style for more than a decade. All this work has been done under an almost total level of secret. There are no filtered renders, there are no images in high resolution, not even mentions in the official communications. Ferrari does not want his rivals to know what they are preparing, because what is at stake is not just a technical improvement. It is a declaration of intentions. The message is clear. They have decided to build not only a winning car, but a car that allows Hamilton to be Hamilton again. With these updates, the SF25 will not be a new car in appearance, but in alma. And in a season where every tenth account, that small evolutionary leap can be the catalyst to change an entire narrative. It's not just about being faster. It's about giving your star pilot the tools to dominate again. And do it just when you need it most. Canada is not another race. It is an exam. It is the time when all that silent engineering, each redesigned energy map, every centimeter of tight suspension and each bit of process data must account in front of the harsh reality of the stopwatch. For Hamilton, the Canada Grand Prix is not just another date in the calendar. It is his opportunity to demonstrate that his adaptation has not been in vain, and that Ferrari has finally understood what he needs to win. In Montreal, each return is a test of consistency and precision. Long straight straights force a well-calibrated power deployment. The braking, especially in the chicana of the Champions Wall or in Curve 10, require absolute confidence in the stability of the rear axle. And that has been precisely the Achilles heel of the SF25. If changes in suspension, engine braking and energy management function as expected, Hamilton can attack those areas with the determination of yesteryear. But there is more at stake than a simple victory. This weekend also represents a psychological test. F1 does not forgive the doubt. Each Hamilton error in the first 2025 races was amplified. Each 10th lost became an argument against its signing by Ferrari. The accumulated pressure is not only media, it is internal. It is personal. Therefore, the success or failure in Montreal will not be measured only at points but in signals. Signs that the symbiosis between pilot and car has begun to consolidate. Signs that Ferrari can become his new competitive home, and not only in his last adventure. At the same time, the paddock observes. Rival engineers, Red Bull and McLaren strategists, and above all their own detractors, will be measuring each Hamilton sector with magnifying glass. Because if Ferrari has managed to reconfigure the car around its star, and if that work translates into real performance, the message that will send to the rest of the grille will be overwhelming. The Hamilton-Ferrari project has not been a marketing play, but a long-term strategic investment. But the line between redemption and illusion is thin. If the improvements do not work as expected, or if the difference with Leclerc is maintained, the effect can be devastating. Not only for Hamilton's morals but for the credibility of the team. In a season where McLaren has begun strong and Mercedes shows recovery signs, Ferrari cannot afford execution errors or unfulfilled promises. A failure in Canada could reopen all the technical and emotional wounds that have tried to close from Australia. And here is the real dilemma. The redesign of the SF25 has been deep, but it is still an evolution of an inherited concept. It is not a new car from scratch, but an attempt of surgical adaptation. If the base is structurally incompatible with Hamilton's style, there will be not enough update that solves it. And then the question will go from being, when will Hamilton win? To, can this Ferrari be the right car ever for him? Now that you know the hidden details, the strategic decisions and the technical sacrifices that Ferrari has implemented in silence to give Lewis Hamilton the car you need, the question is no longer whether it will have the material to fight, but if that effort will be enough to recover the lost time. You have seen how a champion pilot has faced not only a new team, but also a machine that seemed to reject his instinct, his style, his essence. You have also discovered how Ferrari, for the first time in many years, has opted to mold his engineering depending on man, not of the software. And if these updates bear fruit, we could be facing a real transformation, not only of a car, but of all the philosophy of a team that wants to return to the top with Hamilton as a flag. And now I want to know your point of view. Do you think these improvements will be the inflection point for Hamilton this season? Do you think that Ferrari has really understood what his star pilot needs, or all this will be just a temporary patch? Do you see Hamilton fighting victories before the summer break? Leave it to the comments.